howdy ho, Lions fans. Welcome to the Detroit...
There we go. We'll try it again. Hey, howdy ho, Lions fans. Welcome to the Detroit Lions podcast, episode 386. We're number 2. This is the official Detroit Lions podcast for Reddit. I'm your dashing host, Chris, and with me is my good friend and co-host, Jeff, the Riz Risden. How are you doing, brother?
It is great to be number 2 this week. I feel so good about that.
It is. I never thought it would be so great to be number 2. But here we are.
I'm happy. It feels great. I'm still buzzing over the win. I'm still feeling good about everything that we saw on Sunday. It's a great time to be a Lions fan.
God, is it? All right, we got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the Cardinals game a little bit. We are going to do an injury report a little bit. We'll talk about Cambolitics. We'll get into that a little bit more and what that means. Talk about draft position. Should we be in panic mode? Because we're number 2. Look ahead to the Falcons and a whole lot more. We've got a great show lined up. Riz, you ready to go, my man?
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's get right into it. First, foremost, and henceforth, I want to get back to St. Jude really quick and say, hey, everybody, thank you. Thank you so much again. Huge thanks. We're at $38,261.47 on the year.
Holy crow. That's amazing.
Yep. All the auction items are done, sent. I have the group who got the Colorado ski home. I'm going to contact you guys today or tomorrow, I promise. I'm going to get you in touch and make that work. Everything else is in the mail. It's all scheduled to arrive before the big holiday, so hopefully that all plays out right. There's only one thing that wasn't paid for, the DeAndre Swift ball. I might just pay the fee and keep it for myself because it's a nice ball. But with that, we've raised $65,903.16 in 3 years. Thank you, everybody, for all
that's awesome
that you've done to make this so good and so great. So, speaking of great things, I want to review the game against the Cardinals. Did you know that we played the Arizona Cardinals this last Sunday, Riz?
I've heard rumors about that. Yeah. It was quite the shindig over at Ford Field.
There was definitely some digging going on. I don't know. It sounds like we might have done something like 30-12. Can you believe 30-12 over the Arizona Cardinals? Not a soul gave us a chance to beat those guys, and yet
it was stunning. It was glorious. It was wonderful to be wildly wrong about predicting that game.
Oh my God, yeah.
As I was, and everybody was. It's funny because when we do the we pick with our opposing wire editors at USA Today Wires, and I talked to the Cardinals wire editor, and we did our thing, and I've been on his podcast before, so we got a pretty good rapport. Independently, we came up with the exact same score prediction, 34-13 Arizona. Nope, wrong.
That didn't fly. I had 2 different predictions in the game preview. One was my brain, one was my heart, right? And I basically put it together. I said Arizona had a short week. They did all of their prep for the Rams. That was the biggest game they had. If there was ever a trap game, a game set up to lose for a team, it was this game against the Lions for the for the Cards. They had a walkthrough because it was a short week. They never really had real practices. They had walkthrough practices, short week. Lions were super, super hungry. They came to Ford Field. It was absolutely that kind of any given Sunday scenario that I laid out. I don't want to say I predicted it. My heart did. My brain didn't, right? I didn't put money on this one.
Yeah, there were a few people who noted, and it was from the Cardinals side more than the Lions side, that this wasn't going to be a trap game, and that they were a little, I don't want to say nervous, but they were like, yeah, maybe, like trepidation a little bit over what could happen to that team. And the Lions, to their credit, were the aggressor, and they never relented. They were the better team from the opening kickoff to the closing whatever victory formation or whatever they did at the end of the game. They did. It was glorious, man.
There's no better than trepidation from your enemy.
That's right. It was as complete and thorough of a victory against any caliber of team that the Lions have had in a long time. And the fact that they did it against the team that was fighting for number one in the NFC, the first team in the league that got to 10 wins, that impresses me a lot. That's
GMAC cash. Yes, the Lions. The Lions.
That's the juice that we needed. Dan Campbell needed that. We as Lions fans needed that. Like we've tried to be as optimistic as we can, and we do like what we're seeing. And that's not fake, but it's tough when you're 11-1 to be like, oh yeah, everything's great, man. It's looking really good for the future. I mean, there needed to be some sort of carrot to eat instead of just seeing it and then getting beaten over the head with it as a stick.
Yeah.
This was a very tasty carrot to swallow, and I'm so glad that they pulled it off, and it takes a lot of the pressure off of Dan Campbell now. They're not the worst team in football anymore. We're number 2. That's glorious. Just the fact that they did it against a good team, and it was a well-coached game from the beginning to the end. Did Arizona play good? No, they did not. That was not the best that you're going to get out of the Cardinals. But I think we saw the manifestation of what Dan Campbell has been preaching to the players and preaching to us as fans, and what we in the media have been trying to filter out. Like, hey, this is why we're positive. This is what we see. We know we're close. We know we just need better players, and it can work.
We saw the Lions that Dan Campbell promised us in his opening presser. That's the team we saw out there.
Yeah.
And while the Cardinals didn't play like a top-tier team, let's be fair, the Lions didn't let them. The Lions didn't give them an opportunity. That's
exactly right, Chris. That's exactly right.
Definitely outplayed the Arizona Cardinals. And this was a signature win. I want to just give you some quick numbers here. Lions coaches, since probably most of you started following football, against teams that are 5 or more games over 400. Jim Schwartz, 0-10. Jim Caldwell, everyone's favorite, 0-8. Matt Patricia, 0-2. Darrell Bevel, 0-2. Dan Campbell, 1-0, baby. 1-0. That's huge. That's huge.
He's one. Darrell Bevel being 0-2 and he coached 5 games. That's harsh, man.
Yeah, it's a rough one. That's from Stain Shady on Reddit and Honolulu Blues on Twitter. That's we like to.
That's a great stat, and that right there tells you, what's one of the big monkeys on the back of all Lions coaches? Beat somebody good.
Yeah.
Okay, we've done that now.
Soundly. It wasn't a last-second field goal. It wasn't a funky fumble.
It wasn't a fluke. Like
we dictated
They were the better team. You're right. They dictated the game.
Yep.
They controlled the game script from the opening kickoff to the onside kickoff that didn't work, but defensively, But by the way, and this is something that we'll get into at some other point, I'm sure, they've done really well against mobile quarterbacks this year.
Yes,
they played very well against Lamar Jackson. They stifled Kyler Murray very well. They've done a fair job against a lot of those guys. I like that defensive style. They seem to have a way to control that, and that gives me pleasure, Chris.
Absolutely. No, I'm with you. I mean, the thing about this game is, and this is why you can't say the Cards came in and lost it. The Lions went out there in the first quarter, and they dictated the game. They took the points. They turned around. They played strong defense. They pulled the onside kick out right off the top again, and right away, what happened? It shook them. The Cardinals, when they went at halftime, were entirely shook. Really quick, I want to talk about Cambolitics, because I've talked about it a little bit. I tweeted on it.
You did. I liked it too.
And so the end of the first half is kind of just a canary in the coal mine for Cambolitics. What does it mean? What does it happen? What's happening? And what's the result? Right? People all over the place have been yelling this year whether he's too aggressive or not aggressive enough, or what. Oh, they love you how aggressive he was. People have been all over the map because they aren't used to this kind of coaching in Detroit. They haven't seen this before. Right now, Dan Campbell ranks 5th in optimal call percentage in situations where the numbers say go for it. Okay? So if you go back to the end of the first half, the second quarter, 31 seconds left, it was 4th and 1 from the Cards' 28, right? Around that time, you're looking at about a 63% chance of getting a first down and 65% chance of a field goal. Okay? We went for the first down. Goff to St. Brown, got a first down, and then the next play was a 22-yard touchdown to Josh Reynolds that took us in at 17-0 at the half. It could have been, right? It could have been 13-0, right? 17-0 means something a lot different. And those Cardinals, when we pulled that out, again, were stunned. They didn't know what they were dealing with or how to deal with this Lions team because they're coached differently than most of the teams that they're playing. And the results are right there. Cambolitics, it's not a straight analytics play. Dan Campbell has a little bit of his gut in there, and this is the secret sauce. This is what makes it so special for the Lions. Cambolitics is the thing that's going to take this team. I'm telling you, this isn't like the Cincinnati Bengals of the 80s, right? Remember how nutty they were, the crazy plays that they pulled out of their ears. This is for real. This is something where a differentiator for this team. And again, finding these guys, these diamonds in the rough, these players, we'll talk about Will Harris in a bit. These kind of players and what they can mean for this team means so much. This is really a groundbreaking year for the Detroit Lions.
You know, I just appreciate the aggressive, like, you're 1-11-1, you've got nothing to lose, literally. Yeah. Like, why not? You compare that and contrast that with what John Harbaugh has done in Baltimore. And his aggressiveness, I don't think he takes into account, we'll go to the end of their game real fast. They're playing the Packers. They're down by 1. They score the Tyler Huntley, their backup quarterback, makes a great run, gets into the end zone. They decide to go for 2. They're at home. They have the greatest kicker in NFL history. They have all the momentum. They scored the last 2 touchdowns of that game. Green Bay Green Bay was doing what they were going to do. But his evaluation was, I want to play for the win right now. And it's not necessarily that he made a bad decision there, but you got to take in the context. You've got your backup quarterback in. You don't have your offensive line as set up. Your right tackle's out for the game. And maybe that's why you go for it. But then you run a low percentage play to that side that clearly you hadn't practiced against a live bullet defense. And it failed, and it cost them. And that's the second time in 3 weeks. They lost to Pittsburgh in the exact same way. Like the whole analytics is great, and if you're following it, but you also have to have some sense in your head of the context of what you're trying to do. And I thought that Dan Campbell did a great job of that with that end of half situation that you talked about. He understood the opponent that he was going against. He understood the assets that he had at his disposal, and he used them properly. And that, look, I am not saying that Dan Campbell's a better coach than John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh has a Super Bowl ring. That guy's awesome. He's having a rough year, but all in all, he's a really, really good coach. But I'm so encouraged that Dan Campbell is having, the blend, to use your word, Cambolitics, of having the analytical background, but also understanding what he's got and going with the gut and making the right decision there. And that to me is look, Dan Campbell's taken a lot of crap from a lot of people about his play calling decisions, but I think he's getting better at it, and that's very encouraging. And we saw it come to fruition against Arizona. Yeah,
absolutely we have. All right. For those watching the video got a little funky. Sorry. We're just going to keep moving along as if nothing happened. And
I'm still alive. Chris has no picture. That's actually why we were a little slightly delayed coming on, because Chris's camera broke.
We had a power outage, and I think it might have tanked something. And I got to now go backwards and figure out what the heck went on. What's broken? So anyway,
that'll do it.
This is where we are. The Cambolitics is strong. I would watch it. I think this is, as we've talked about in some of our other shows, this is a comparative advantage for the Detroit Lions. The way Campbell is going to call these plays and call these games is going to be different than what we've seen elsewhere, different than what we've seen from other Lions coaches. And I want to really hit something here that's part of it. The Lions, just a reminder, they're only 4 field goals away from being second in the NFC North. Think about that. 4 field goals. We've had high impact injuries, like tons and tons of injuries, right? So much so, and for so long that you'll hear us play the Cardinals, and they'll talk about DeAndre Hopkins being out and not even mention the Lions injuries, because it's just the way it is. It feels like we've been this way forever, and we have. We've got a first-year coach and then a wide receiver room less talented than OSU. That's from Jay Walter on Reddit. And we're still just 4 field goals away. This is a sneaky good team, Riz. This is a team that when our players are, and you think about, we've got 2 first-round picks this year. The draft is coming. We've shown some real talent at being able to draft players.
Got some money to spend. We got assets, baby.
You want a worst to first, is Logan's, right there, worst to first kind of story. I would put my money. You go down to Vegas, you get your DraftKings, whatever. This is the team I would bet on because, boy, we are way better than this worst team this year. And we put some more talent in there. We've got money to spend in free agency, right? I mean, we are way better of a team than the way things look today. Although, it's hard to say after beating the Cardinals like that, right? But in totality, the way the year looks, we're a way better team than what that record reflects.
Yeah, by and large, most of the games have been competitive. Philadelphia, Cincinnati, Thanksgiving against Chicago are the big exceptions where it just wasn't going to be your day,
right?
And that's going to happen to every team. It just happened to Arizona. they're a Super Bowl contender. It's look, one of the things that it's fun to watch the NFL this year because you have no idea what's going to happen. Like I'll use the Browns as an example. Yesterday, they played. If they won that game, they're the number 4 seed and leading the AFC North. They lost. They are now the number 12 seed and in last place in that division. It is so tightly packed. The margin for error is so big from top to bottom across both conferences, really. I mean, yeah, you got Green Bay and Arizona, and I think the Rams are going to win when they play in a couple of hours today and tighten that up. But, Dallas is good. But, the middle class... the Lions are so close to that. 4 field goals. I'm going to assume that 2 of those were the 2 that were made in Minnesota, by Minnesota and Baltimore. Pittsburgh would be another one, and then there's one other game, isn't there, where they? But yeah, they're much closer to being in the tier with the Vikings and the Browns and the Chargers, the Dolphins. They're a lot closer to those teams than they are the Texans, the Jets, and the Jaguars, and the Giants, who are absolutely imploding. By the way, Amon-Ra St. Brown has a more productive year now than Kenny Golladay does for about 1/50th of the salary.
It's nuts. That is nuts. That is nuts to me. Yeah, so I think this team is really poised. We're in a good position to move the needle in the right direction next year. I'm excited. Are they going to win the Super Bowl next year? No, nobody's predicting that. No one's putting that out there. But this team, and then again, we have 2 first-round picks next year, which again, you package those picks together wherever we wind up. If we pick 15. That's okay. We've got 15 and 20 probably, or 15 and 25 somewhere in there. You can package those up. You can move up. The other thing is
you got those 2023 picks. You can flip one of those right now this year if you want to move up from wherever the Rams pick, or if you want to get real saucy and trade your number 5 pick, let's say, and next year's number 1 to go up and get the number 1 pick if you really want to have that number 1 pick. No problem. You got it.
Yep.
Do it.
Yep. I think there's a lot to be done. So we got a lot of ammo, a lot of good stuff going on. I want to remind people. This is, I'll say this myself, but then you can take it however you want. I don't give a rat's patootie what the league is saying about the Lions right now. People are like, "Oh, they're saying nice things about us. Oh, look at them saying nice things." I'm not the girl in high school who's worried about what other people are saying, because I remember back when the beginning of the season was going on and they were showing Stafford flying out of Detroit, this dank asshole, right? This terrible place, and he lands in LA and the sun comes up and it's all beautiful. And it wasn't just about how great, how lucky Stafford was to go to this good team and have a shot at really, with a big winner. And it was also, let's kick the Lions and kick Detroit while they're down, while things are looking bad. F them, F them, F them. Well, no, F them. I don't care about the national media. I don't care what they're saying. They can say nice things. They can say mean things. They're just as ignorant both ways. I don't care, and folks shouldn't care. Don't give them the time of day. Don't give it to them. Stick with your Justin Rogers, Lions Wire, right? Good quality people who actually know what they're talking about, rather than this stupid national narrative of garbage that doesn't give an F about you, the Lions, and they really don't know anything about them either. So I'm sorry, I just don't care.
And that's more where I get onto it. Is you will find some national people who understand what's going on in Detroit, but you will find a lot more of them who are clueless, who just don't they don't understand. Quite frankly, they don't understand the plan. They don't understand the collaborative effort of the team. They don't understand that. Okay, they weren't trying to win this year. And I think most people in Detroit have finally figured out that, they weren't trying to win this year, folks. They knew this was the start. This was year zero. This was not year one. And we're seeing that climb where year one is probably going to look a little bit better than you might have thought it was, based on what we've seen over the last 6 weeks, where they're 2-3-1. They have a better record in the last 6 weeks than the Baltimore Ravens do. That tells me that they're moving in the right direction. They're a competitive football team. They're undermanned. They're injured. They're battling COVID right now, but they're scrapping and they're figuring out how to win. What's the mantra? We'll go back to the Pistons back in the day when they got to figure out they have to get past the Bulls, or they have to get past the Celtics in the playoffs. And they did that. It took them a couple of years, but they figured it out. And then they had their nice run. And then Jordan needed to go through the Jordan rules and to figure out how to win in the playoffs. And it happened that way. And the tide changed there. This Lions team is on the come up side of that right now. They're learning how to win. I think it's great that they're figuring it out on the fly with a lot of guys. A lot of young guys who normally wouldn't be playing are getting chances to prove that they can be part of a winning team in the NFL. That, to me, that's so much more impressive and important than like the Texans beating the Jaguars this past weekend with one of the oldest rosters in the league. And Davis Mills starting at quarterback instead of Tyrod Taylor skews that down a little bit. They're playing Danny Amendola. They're playing Brandon Cooks. They're playing guys that aren't going to be part of that team in 2 or 3 years when they hope to be contending. Like the Lions, you're seeing guys out there, playing significant roles who can be part of that. And that's one of the things that excites me. And that's why it was so nice and so rewarding to get that win. Because now those guys, the Craig Reynolds of the world, the Tommy Kramers of the world, they're starting to feel like, hey man, I can be part of this. That's rare in the NFL, that you get a chance to be from ground zero like that on a team that has something that they're building towards, and that you see that you could be part of that, and that you get to play a little bit of a role in that early on. That's so special. I can't stress that enough. I can't tell you how important that is for agents of young players. And you hinted at this in the Slack conversation. I believe you hinted at it on Twitter too. They're going to see that, and you're not going to get the ring whores at the end of their career, but you're going to get those guys that are looking like, hey, you know what? If it's between, taking $7.5 million from Minnesota or $8 million from Detroit and joining the rising tide instead of the boat that's taking a lot of water, Detroit's going to have that advantage because because of what you're seeing right now, because they're letting those guys play and prove themselves. That's doing a lot of favors to a lot of agents, and you better believe that does mean something to them.
Yeah, I mean, guys that go out and ring whore, and I don't blame them, right? Who doesn't?
I don't either. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, not at all.
But you have those guys. There's only so many places they can go, and you have there's a limited quantity of those guys that can go along. There's a lot of really good players out there that aren't and can't get to that team. And so they go other places, and you look at like Michael Gallup's one. He's a great opportunity out there in free agency, right? He's a guy that can see the Lions as a potential place. You know what? I can get a 3 or 4 year deal. I can ride this team to greatness. And the team's obviously
on the contributor on this team. And by the way, Dallas, the
Lions are on the upswing.
Cannot pay him.
The Lions are on the upswing. I can ride that train. I can be a contributor, but I can also get credit beyond my ability to sign my next contract. When you hop on a train like that and the team goes up, you do better not just for yourself, but you also benefit from the rest of the people you're surrounded with, including those coaches. This becomes a place where free agents want to go rather than a place where I've just got to settle for it. So it's a real interesting place that the Lions are in that they haven't been in recent memory.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Looks like we have our kicker I think at this point we can settle in. We've got a guy that we can believe in, and it looks like we got a quarterback too, nominated for the FedEx Player of the Week, my friend. Offensive Air Player of the Week. What do they call it?
The FedEx Air Player of the Week. They have the air and the ground.
Yes,
I'm disappointed that Craig Reynolds was not nominated for the ground Player of the Week, but no.
Come on, Craig. You have to do it again.
I know, right?
Now you have to do it again.
Yeah, do it again. Goff has played some really impressive football of late, and there are any number of discussions we can have on why that's happening. I'll just say it's very nice to see, and I kind of explained this the other day. I like the fact that I am now seeing and trusting more in Brad Holmes and his eye for quarterbacks, because for most of this season, what we've had from Brad Holmes and his eye for quarterbacks was bad Jared Goff and god-awful Tim Boyle. I'm like, these are the guys that he wanted at quarterback, and that scared the hell out of me. It should have scared the hell out of everyone. Now we're seeing, okay, this is why Brad Holmes wanted Jared Goff. It doesn't mean that he's the long-term solution. I am certainly not there yet. But I am at least more understanding and more appreciative that Brad Holmes might know what he's doing and looking for a quarterback at some point. Because I absolutely was not until about 3 weeks ago.
Well, I remember at Miller's, right? You guys...
we talked about it there. That's right.
You guys thought I was nuts. You acted like, oh, Chris, here he is again, right? With his Kool-Aid. I'm like, you guys got to wait till he gets... a couple people around him. We haven't seen Reynolds, and we see the results in the work that Campbell and Ben Johnson have been doing since the bye week. These things haven't come to fruition. You haven't seen real Goff. You've seen handcuffed Goff. He's not, and I said he's not the guy that's going to take your team to victory, but he's also not as bad as everyone thought. Everybody wanted to just throw him out, and that was the wrong thing to do at that point. I knew it was, and we have to see. We talked about it from the draft, right? We're evaluating Goff as a potential for the long term with this team, and then we gave him nothing insofar as weapons, and then the ones he had injured. Look, Tyrell Williams and Quintez Cephas as your number 1 and number 2 is a shit wide receiver room. It is. It's garbage, right? I mean, comparatively in the NFL. Not saying they're terrible guys or they're bad receivers, but if they're your number 1 and number 2, whew, are you in trouble?
Oh, yeah.
Both gone. Week 2? Both gone week 2, was it, or week 3? They didn't make it past 3 weeks. Goff didn't have any weapons, and that's the thing. So it doesn't, I mean, did Stafford carry us with Chris Durham and Calvin? He had Calvin, right? I mean, that's the thing. We talk about all the wins that he got us. He had Nate Burleson. He had Golden Tate. He always had a guy that to help him kind of, help him carry the team. He was a guy that could definitely get you wins. Jared Goff can get you wins, but he needs help. Right?
Yes, he does.
And we gave him 0. And then we evaluated him on why doesn't, it's like saying quarterback wins are a stat, right? Well, here they're not. And this is why not, right? Because he's out there and you see him with nobody. And all of a sudden you get Reynolds on the team. What does Reynolds do? Oh, well, he can stretch the field a little. He can start getting Amon-Ra open, and Amon-Ra can start playing because they have to cover somebody down the field, right? Oh, look, all the checkdowns are gone. Why? Because you can put somebody down the field because you have some weapons that give him the options. And I'll go back to the offensive coordinator. You have somebody who isn't targeting only Hawkinson and only Swift with his plays with no checks. Period. People saying he's staring down, because that was the play calls, and I know it was the play calls because I know somebody who knows directly what they were.
Let me ask you this, Chris, because this is something that came up on Sunday in a discussion that I had. I watched the game in public, and I had this discussion with somebody that I was with. Is Jared Goff playing better because DeAndre Swift isn't there? As like, I know I'm going to be able to get 3 or 4 yards with this guy. I know what he's going to do. I'll take the lower reward, lower risk play, because I know that it's there, rather than trying to get more down the field. Because it's an interesting theory, and I don't I get it, but I also know that you don't win without having your best players on the field.
Yeah, and that's not it. It's so much of these things are coincidental timing, right? Yeah. Swift going down in the ascent of Goff. It wasn't Swift. It was literally the play calls were all to Swift and Hawk because your offensive coordinator didn't trust the rest of the guys either. He saw what you had with Amon-Ra. Well, Amon-Ra couldn't get open because there was nobody to move the field. No one had to cover further than 8 yards downfield to keep the whole entire wide receiver core, blanketed. You never had to. Now you're starting to open that up. Now you're seeing a change. He checked down because, number one, Goff was the guy and he had no one that could go deep. And number two, Goff was the keyed-in player on those plays. It was Goff and Hockenson. I'm telling you, 90%, 80% of the plays were literally for one of those two with no checks. Just go there because it's going to be open quick, period. I'm telling you. And you go back and look at it and you'll see, if you watch it, you'll say, yeah, I guess so. That's right. That's why he wasn't looking off anybody. You can see Slow Lights is great. And I got to, again, Sandman7773 on YouTube. Check out his channel. His Slow Lights are the best. I want you to watch Goff's head. And I want you to, unfortunately, there's no Slow Lights from earlier in the season because they didn't win. But you would see him stare down the receiver. But what you'll see now in the last couple of weeks, you watch his head. He's not looking off anybody, okay? He's not super, no-look pass guy fooling anybody. But you're now seeing him check 1, 2, 3. He's checking his different options on the field. Why? Because the plays are allowing him to do that. It's just, again, Jared Goff is not an absolutely horrible quarterback. He's not a superstar, right? He's not Patrick Mahomes, but he's absolutely serviceable. And you can watch some of the things you can see. You can just see how the play is called, what the play is set to, and he will tell you with how he's checking his options downfield.
I agree with that. It is interesting, though, that he's forced to use different weapons more now with Hawk gone for the year and with Swift. I'm not going to say that he's out for the year because we don't know that yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see him for the rest of the year. It's forced him to, I do think that there is a little bit something to it, that it's forced him to maybe expand his vision a little bit and maybe put more trust into those players. You're absolutely right, though. The play calling dynamic has changed. The play structure, the pacing of the offense, all that has changed, and it's changed for the better, and it needed to. The other thing, and Goff has talked about this, and Campbell has hammered it, it's something that a lot of the coaches and players have brought up. The attention to detail that they're paying in practice now has amped up considerably from the beginning of the year. And I don't know if that's because Anthony Lynn isn't as hands-on. I don't know if it's just something that Dan Campbell realized that it had to have happen. I don't know if the players realized, hey, man, we got to figure this crap out. But that is also getting better. And unfortunately, I haven't been to a Lions practice in some time, so I haven't been able to witness it firsthand myself. But yeah, it's easy to see that Amon-Ra is running the routes the way that they're designed to be run, when and where they're designed to be run. You're seeing Josh Reynolds understands that. He understands the spatial aspect of playing football at wide receiver. I'll give Brock Wright some credit. He's not playing great football. He is where and when he needs to be, as a route runner. That makes such a difference. If you watch the Bears game last night, Monday night, that was Monday. It was Tuesday. It's wacky. They had a lot of receivers that weren't where and when they needed to be, and it gave Justin Fields problems. It throws off their entire offense. It throws off where he's looking for. It adds extra defenders where they're not supposed to be when you design the plays. The Lions were doing that earlier in the year. They're not doing that now. That's progress. Whether it's coaching, whether it's the players coming to that epiphany on their own, I don't really care. I like it, and it's working. I'm happy.
I will tell you, I can only,
Christos.
There was the coaching was highly unprepared prior to the change. We'll put it that way. There was a lot of missing pieces in practice.
Were some of those plays designed with only 10 people on the whiteboard, Chris? There's a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Say no more.
It was. Yeah, it was. And I'm telling you, the people that said that Dan Campbell shouldn't be making play calls, you recall, I disagreed vehemently with that. The only place where I thought there was a problem with Dan Campbell making play calls is because he's a new coach, and it's always. I think about it like this. There's always a Karen out there, and you always need someone for Karen to escalate to, because she always needs a manager to talk to. If you put the store manager out there, then she's talking to him. Well, I need to talk to, well, I am the manager. Then get me corporate, right? They always want to escalate over somebody's head, right? You don't put the top person out there doing it because you have no options at that point, right? I mean, it's a silly kind of analogy.
It works though, man. Yeah, it does.
So if Dan Campbell, especially that early in the season, didn't find success, right? He kind of painted himself in a box. That's the part that gave me pause with him calling plays. But with Ben Johnson and him working together the way they have with the rest of the staff, and I know the rest of the staff is working with him as well. They've built plays, they've changed the parts of the book, they've added plays, and the results are coming. They've been coming in. You can't just snap your fingers and make those kind of changes. Those things evolve. What does that mean? Well, if we have an internal person who winds up being next year's offensive coordinator, well, you're probably gonna see a really, really good partnership begin redesigning that playbook starting day one of the postseason, right? And you have people who know what they're doing together and working together and finding success together with some of their what they're designing and testing. I have a sense that they're A/B testing. I don't have an inside source in this, but I have a sense they're A/B testing some of the play design right now. I think they're kind of looking at how things work, A versus B, and they're going to use that information to help design what things look like next year if the offensive coordinator next year is an internal hire.
And I think most of us have come to the conclusion that Anthony Lynn will not be back. I don't think that's a big secret. I think that's one of the things that we're going to be talking about in January and February is who's going to be the new offensive coordinator. And while I'm impressed with what we're seeing, I still think it's a good idea to go outside the organization here and bring in somebody with a different perspective and different eyes. And blend it together. Now, obviously, there's some risk in that because you're bringing in somebody else that might not blend well. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things. That's one of the issues that you have when you're bringing a staff together in the manner that the Lions had to do fairly quickly with a rookie coach who doesn't have yeah. You're gonna have guys that don't fit, and that's not their fault. It's okay. Mm-hmm. Like, not everybody's gonna stay together all the time. It just doesn't work that way. Like, it's okay that Anthony Lynn didn't work out as your offensive coordinator. It's better to figure it out and move on than let it fester and try to make it work. No, that's what bad teams do.
And that doesn't mean Anthony Lynn's bad at football or a bad person or any of those things.
Yes,
right?
Thank you. That's the point that I was supposed to be getting to. So thank you for leading me in that direction. It doesn't mean that he's bad at his job or a bad guy. It means he's a bad fit with Dan Campbell. And you know what? That's okay. Like, I wish him well. I hope he winds up landing on his feet somewhere else. Because he is a good man. He is a good coach. It's just not a good coach for the Detroit Lions offense right now.
You've had enough of that shit. It's just not a fit for what they're trying to do.
Yeah, exactly. and he won't be the only coach that's gone this year because it's not a great, culture fit or personality fit with Dan Campbell. And that's okay. Yep. I would much rather them make that change rather than, again, let it fester, let it linger, and then you're looking like, why is this guy still here? Why do we complain so much about Jim Caldwell? Because he didn't fire people who were bad at their jobs under him, and they dragged him down, and he stayed loyal to them.
Yep.
That was stupid on Caldwell's part, and it nearly cost him his job.
I would say it did in the end.
Well, it did, but remember that it wasn't the he's got to go or you're going with him, but it was pretty darn close to that. The trip home from London with the offensive coordinator back in the day. Like, and Jim Caldwell took great pain in that. Like, and I know Dan Campbell's gonna, not feel good about having to let a good guy in Anthony Lynn go, but at the same time, they're smart enough to understand that not all ships travel in the same direction at the same time. Sometimes you just got to find a different way. And I am encouraged that they are working on that now in the season and trying it. And to your point, A/B testing what's going on with the players. Like, maybe we find something with players and coaches clicking, that the coaches together click. I think there's a solid core of coaches on this team that will be back, and then they're going to fill in holes with guys that maybe it's a guy that Aaron Glenn knows really well, or maybe it's a guy that Dan Campbell worked with in Miami or played with when he was in Dallas or something like that, who comes in and offers a different perspective. So that's going to be something to watch. We'll talk a lot more about that in the offseason, but that's a little bit of a prep on what's going to happen this. Like, it's not a bad thing that the coaches are going to get fired. And like to your point, it's not a reflection on them necessarily that they're a bad coach. They're just not the right coach for Detroit.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's such a mature take, Grizz. You're not crying over an unemployable special teams coach who ran out and did dumb crap on his own, who half the team on the field.
That happened 1 year ago today, by the way.
Yep.
That came up on my feed because I wrote about that, and it was one of the most viewed articles of last December.
He's such a superstar, working nowhere. All right, so let's move on. We got the FedEx Player of the Week. We got
his dad won't even hire him.
I'm just saying. You get your analysis. You can take it where you want it, where you get it from, right?
I remember the interaction I had with a high school head coach on that. And it's not the Zealandese high school head coach. It's another one that I'm a friend with. And he asked me what happened. I'm like, he went rogue from his head coach, and he's like, I'm going to stop you right there. I'm done supporting him.
Yep. Done.
Next.
Really quick, Jean-Paul Morrison. I love the cheers Goff got when he came back in after he went out after the low hit. He's definitely gained more fans as of late. I got to tell you, absolutely. I was very heartened.
He earned that.
Yes, when I saw that. And, it's pretty interesting. Of course, in the moment, fans are where they are. Arizona, and this, I want a sense check, Riz, because I my heart and my brain sometimes go in different directions, and I think my brain's got this. Did it feel like Arizona was really losing a little bit of control and taking the frustration out in late hits on Jared Goff? Did that feel that way, or was I just being overly sensitive?
I think the second roughing the passer call was that. I think the third was more of a guy just trying a little too hard to do something.
Fair enough.
I do think that they were frazzled. I think that their frustration showed. I don't think that their coach necessarily reined them in the way that I would have liked him to. But hey, that's their problem. That's not our problem.
That's fair. No, I needed that sense check because I was, like I said, my heart and my brain were in two different places, and I need to find out where they were.
I don't think any of those hits are going to get fined. If that's where you go with it. If that's your arbiter of like. Was it dirty? Were they frustrated? Was it cheesy? Was it cheap? I mean, yeah, but like you're gonna see plays like that. Like we've seen Trey Flowers make that exact same play. So I'm not gonna dog them for that.
Okay.
Look, it's tough to lose to Detroit when you go in as 13.5-point favorites and you're getting your ass kicked. Yeah, you probably are going to feel a little salty about it, and maybe you'll take that out a little bit.
I wanted Chicago to win so bad so that Chicago and Minnesota fired their coaches this year. We can watch both of them go through that.
It could still happen.
Yeah, you're right. Little birdie said something.
My God, Matt Nagy last night. That was a guy who
he was coaching for his life there.
And I will say, I think it was like watching Stan Van Gundy when he wanted to get tossed from Pistons games. Like he wanted out of that game so badly, and they didn't eject him. It was kind of fun. Like you've seen, if you follow the NBA at all, you will know that there are games where Greg Popovich is like, you know what, I'm done with this crap. I've had enough of this shit to play the sounder. Like, and he will try to get thrown out. It's almost like he's going up to the ref and saying, "You're going to toss me, and I'm going to make this a little bit more animated than it needs to be." Like he has that relationship. You saw that with Matt Nagy. Like he's like, "Please throw me out of this game, so it's not my fault."
No, I think he was coaching for his life. He knows how bad it was. If he would have been able to pull that out, maybe he felt he could have, gotten a spark from the team. It was just actually humiliating in the end. It was so funny. It was just bad. Plan B. I hope the Bears don't fire Nagy. Yeah, you and me both. I mean, I'd love them all to hold on to their coaches for another year.
Yeah, he gone.
Mike Holloman, I hate to say this, but I don't see a ton of free agents, wide receiver talent upcoming this year, mainly because most of the teams will re-sign their guys. Chris Godwin's a great example that you have there, Mike. With that injury, he may not get re-signed. An ACL.
They can't afford to keep him.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
That's the other thing. Like Allen Robinson, the Bears cannot afford to keep him. If they do some other things that they need to do, that they have some outs. They can certainly get rid of Nick Foles. I don't know why he's still on the team. They have some ability to create some space, but like Dallas, there is no way in hell that Michael Gallup is going back there unless they cut Amari Cooper, and then guess what? You can get Amari Cooper.
Yeah, and Kirk's out there running around. I mean, there's definitely opportunities. Not that I'm super high on him.
Jarvis Landry won't be back in Cleveland at his salary. Look, that's a lower end guy, but Amon-Ra St. Brown compares so much to a young Jarvis Landry. To be able to get juice into Detroit, look, he's not the player that he used to be, but he can still play. That's one where you've got the mentor in there, and he can also he's versatile enough that he can do a lot of things to help your team. Yeah. That's one to watch this offseason.
It's the player coach role, right? The veteran player coach kind of thing. All right. Yep. Let's see. I think we got that all covered up. Let's really quick hit cbd.detroitlionspodcast.com. cbd.detroitlionspodcast.com. Please help us fix our camera. It's humiliating to sit here without a camera working. I mean, we have to do this. We're still doing the show, but you need to go get CBD. At least it didn't
freeze with your tongue out.
I know. You get that CBD, they give us a little kickback. You can use Lions as your coupon code, 55% off. What a great deal. Active CBD is good in all 50 states. If you used to use the Delta 8 and you can't anymore, Active CBD is the place to go. It's legal everywhere. Delta 8 is still great. That's available. And then the regular CBD, just for pain, anxiety, and insomnia. Take care of yourself, take care of your head, take care of your body, and have a little fun over your break. cbd.detroitlionspodcast.com. And I have talked to guys who got the Delta 8 and the other stuff from Diamond CBD from our place where we're working with, and then got it locally from another place, and unanimously, I haven't had anyone tell me that the stuff they get is better. I've had a few people say, yeah, it's comparable, but I've heard a lot of people say not as good. This Diamond CBD, I'm telling you, we work with our friends to make sure that we have great products for you guys. cbd.detroitlionspodcast.com. Okay, with that, let's do the Diamond CBD injury report and analysis. Jared Goff has the coof. What in the heck is going on?
Jared Goff and Matt Nelson, the third tackle, tested positive yesterday. Goff, so the NFL, excuse me, wow, the water is really hitting hard.
I want everyone to notice I didn't say Goff has the cough. Somebody's going to do that, and it's way too easy. Just so you know. Go ahead.
That is easy. That's easy and cheesy.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
You just put that process whiz on top of it.
The NFL changed their protocols where asymptomatic players aren't necessarily tested. Goff reported symptoms Sunday night into Monday morning, and then they tested him, and they did find out that he had COVID. He is vaccinated, which means that if he becomes asymptomatic and produces one negative test before Sunday morning, and I forget when the cutoff is, but it's fairly close to game time, he will be able to play. He cannot practice until he produces a negative, but he's got the ability to get back. So it's not necessarily that he will be out. He doesn't have to wait 10 days or anything like that. He confirmed that he is vaccinated. Nelson's status, I don't know if he was also symptomatic. He didn't do a radio interview today, so we don't know that yet. But there's a chance for Goff to be back, and he described it as like a mild cold, slight discomfort, so nothing serious. He says he feels fine. He actually played through the flu 2 weeks ago, and he said he felt a lot worse for that. So that's where that is with Goff and Nelson. Jamal Williams is back from the COVID list. What's interesting, we do not know the vaccination status of the players unless they tell us, or you read the context clues. Jamal Williams never had a symptom, but he did test positive, and guess what? He missed 10 days, which means he's probably not vaccinated. So the good news with that, he's got a 90-day window now where he can test positive and it won't matter because he's got enough of the virus load in him. I think that's where we're at. Like Corey Ballantyne is still on the COVID list. I think there's a couple of other defensive backs. I think Mark Gilbert is still there, or he might be back. I don't know. It's wacky, but COVID, not necessarily the injury list. They are separate designations. Injuries. We'll go to injuries. DeAndre Swift. Dan Campbell called him both week to week and day to day in the same sentence yesterday. Make of that what you will. His shoulder is not good. He's missed 3 games in a row. We've seen what Craig Reynolds can do. We're getting Jamal Williams back. Jamar Jefferson is still out there. He did not have a very good game Sunday, but it's still got some promise to him. Very different style of back. I don't know if we're going to see DeAndre Swift play again this year. And again, that's just my speculation on it. I'm speculating that I don't know because I don't know. Quite frankly, I don't think they know yet. I think they're toying with the idea. They want to see how he progresses this week. And if he's good enough to play, like, okay, it's 3 weeks. You know what? Let's see how he fits in with this new look offense, with the way that the offense has changed since he departed. Does he integrate back into that? Does putting him back in there, does that validate my friend's thesis that him being out is that Goff's a worse quarterback when he has him in the game? I kind of think that the Lions would like to know that. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that they're ready to rule him out yet. Having said that, now they'll probably put him on IR before we finish this very recording because that's the way things work. But he's rough, and the other one, obviously Hawkinson, gone for the year now. That's frustrating. I don't think we lost anybody else for the season. Jonah Jackson was a COVID guy, not an injury guy, so that could resolve itself. We didn't really see any like other there weren't any other serious injuries that I'm aware of from Sunday or that I'm thinking of anyways. Can you think of any that happened during the game? No,
not off the top of my head. I can't.
I'm like Godwin Igwebuike. I hope that he hurt his hands when he fumbled because otherwise that's really not good for him. Anzalone. We forgot.
Oh my God! How do we forget Captain Anzalone?
The luscious hair. Alex Anzalone has. I forget what they said. The shoulder. It's a shoulder injury that will require surgery. That will be the 5th time since high school that particular shoulder will need surgery. That's not good for a guy who's 29, 30 years old. Like he's probably not that old. He played at Florida with Jared Davis, so he's probably 28, 29. That's tough, man. Look, Pro Football Focus hates Alex Anzalone, and he did not have a consistently good year. But that guy played his balls off and did a good job and got better. And he made one of the things that he does. He's one of those guys that's going to make players around him better, perhaps at his own expense on game film. And I have an appreciation for guys like that. And I'll tell you another guy that did that for a while with the Jets and with the Browns. Demario Davis did that. Devondre Campbell's another guy like that. Like He's gonna show up late on film at times because he's covering for other people's mistakes, and it's gonna make it look like it's his. Devondre Campbell's an All-Pro this year. Demario Davis was an All-Pro for the Saints last year, playing next to Alex Anzalone. Like that kind of guy, I have a real appreciation for that. I have a very strong appreciation for what Alex Anzalone brought the Detroit Lions. And if his Lions career is over, thanks, dude. You know what? I'm going to remember you fondly.
Absolutely. He brought a lot. He
did.
He left it on the field. That's one of the things that I absolutely loved about everything that he did.
100% effort every damn play.
Yeah. It means a lot, man. It means a lot. And I know Dan loves it. And beyond just what he gave in doing that, the fact that he helped build the culture with that mentality. That's one of the key pieces to that. Just beyond what he did this year and what he added, the idea and the piece that he did where he helped build this culture to where it is was really, really important. So there we go.
If you hear something, my cats are fighting just down here. Hopefully you don't hear that. They're going at it.
All right. Meow. Let's see. What else do we got here? Got the injury report. Lions signed a guy named Craig Reynolds. I think the fact that he's a restricted free agent kind of means something, Riz, but I don't know nothing about nothing. Why don't you tell us all about it?
Hey, so Craig Reynolds had rushed for almost 200 yards. He was a practice squad elevation both week. He wasn't technically part of the team. He's now part of the team. He took Anzalone's spot when Anzalone went on to injured reserve. They signed Craig Reynolds for the remainder of this season. He also now is locked in through 2022 because he is not a restricted free agent. He's an exclusive rights free agent at the end of the season. There is some confusion because there were some reports out there that said that he signed through the 2022 season. I'm going to tell you that might not be accurate.
Really?
But it does mean that he will, in fact, be with the Detroit Lions. He has no intention of going anywhere else. And look, exclusive rights free agents, it's one of those, yay, okay, you're back. Nay, okay, you're gone. Like, that's the discussion. He will be back in 2022. He has been so good. So good. He is a guy, look, he's not the fastest. He runs a 4.6. And it showed because he got ran down from behind pretty quickly in the Arizona game. That guy goes where the hole is supposed to be, and he gets there fast. He gets there with authority. He gets there with vision. He gets there with balance. That's the kind of running back that you need. Jamal Williams is the same sort of running back. He's filled in for Jamal expertly. I love it. I'm so happy for him. This is one of the guys. Look, this was the preseason wonder kid, the one that, like, oh yeah, everybody loves Craig Reynolds in the preseason because he torched the Steelers and he torched the Colts in the preseason. And then you sort of forget about him, and he came back. To Craig's credit, he stuck. He may have had chances to be on other practice squads and decided to stay in Detroit, and look what's happened. 2 games. He's only Billy Sims rushed for more games in his first 2 games as a Detroit Lion than what Craig Reynolds did. Yep. There you go. And
so happy for that. As we said, the fact that we sign him like this as a restricted free agent and have him on the squad this way means we get him. He can't be stolen without a fight, and it means we're going to get him for a good price. So we've protected him. We've protected our wallet at the same time. I think it was a great move. And Craig Reynolds gets a shot. He's on a roster in the NFL. He wins as well. This is good. He's a likable guy too. I mean, his personality is he's such a winning really personality.
There's a very, very, very good chance he will be joining this podcast after the season is over.
Speaking of great things after the season is over, thanks for that, Riz. You should check about an hour ago, the Senior Bowl credentials came through. Okay. Good times.
Really?
Good times. Yep.
Let me pull up the email here. So for whatever reason, I have an Android phone, and my Gmail notifications are not working on it.
It looks like my screen.
It up right now. Yes, it does.
All right. While you do that, I want to talk about this.
I'm looking right now. I haven't gotten anything yet. Oh! It's in my spam. It's in my spam folder. Come on.
Don't tell Jim. Right. We're also looking to get Jim Nagy in ahead of time to do some talking with him. We may coordinate with the announcement of coaching staffs as well. We'll see how that all plays out. We got some work going on there in the background. All right. There's
FYI for real quick on that real fast. The Texans are eligible. The Jaguars will not be eligible to be Senior Bowl coaches because they are making a coaching change.
That's right.
That's actually the only change that's now. But you have to have an intact head coach and GM returning to be considered for Senior Bowl coaching. You better believe that Jim Nagy, who once a Lions scout, would love to have the Lions there
and
Dan Campbell's energy there.
Traverse City guy, right?
Yep.
I mean, and so you've got, let's see, the Jets are the ones with a shot, right? They're a shot.
The Jets, Texans,
they're playing Jacksonville. They're likely to get a win. They are. And the other thing with the Giants could also technically fall into that bubble. It really sounds like they're at least changing their GM, if not their head coach, at the end of the season. So that sort of takes them out of it. 4 wins. I mean, that means we've got to get 2 wins, right? For the Giants to pull that one off.
No problem. Let's do it.
Oh man, you're making it tough.
Make it happen.
And who do they? Let's see. They're playing Philly, Chicago. They're playing Chicago and Washington. I mean, they could win a game still. The Giants. And
I got to share this.
The Panthers won't. So 5 wins.
Going into last night's game, the Bears the Giants held the 5th pick and the Bears held the 6th pick. They flipped last night because the Bears lost, but their pick goes to the Giants anyway, so it doesn't matter.
They got 5 and 6, the Giants. It's great. So yeah, all things lean towards the Lions and Senior Bowl. We will be there. We've already got all our communications and things working there, so that should be a good show. A good week. I'm arriving the 31st, Riz, through that Friday. We're going to do some pre stuff. I know. So I've got 3 people with credentials, myself being one of those 3. Some of us are getting there on Sunday. We'll start coverage early. We'll do a little mobile tour. See if we get some smoothies on Sunday night.
We'll be at Smoothie King in the beer garden.
Yeah.
Right. And we'll certainly make a pit stop at Veets too.
Gosh. So Jerry Jones buys a drink.
I gotta shift my liver around already.
So yeah, and we will have some interesting interviews throughout. We will. The plan for Senior Bowl is we'll have a couple of set shows, but we've got some folks. We've got some really good interviews already kind of lining up for that week, and we will be picking some up. So we will be going live on the fly a lot. Definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the bell. You're going to want to see everything that goes down that week, or at least know what happens so you can see it after the fact. But I'm telling you, you don't want to miss what goes down at Senior Bowl. It's going to be a action-packed great week. This is, I think, my fourth year. And this is what, 12 for you, Riz?
It's either 12 or 13. I can't keep track.
Yeah. So we got you covered. Don't worry. It'll be great stuff, and we'll have all the players there. So again, make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit the bell, because you're going to want to know when we go live with those interviews all that week of Senior Bowl. Also, while you're here now, throw a like up there. We appreciate it by helping us out. Let's talk about Will Harris. I mean, future Hall of Fame cornerback Will Harris. What the heck happened out there? I mean, can we use the word multiple?
Well, man.
Somebody at this site, I don't know if I can pronounce it right. It's Lyon Suyer. I think it's a French site by El Jefe Riston. Says something about multiple about this Will Harris guy. What are we talking about? Is he play for Matt Patricia?
Oh God! Thank God, no. Will Harris. Look, anybody who's heard my voice named Will Harris knows that I've not been kind to Will Harris in his 3+ years in Detroit, or 2+ years in Detroit. I am so happy that guy played a great game as an outside cornerback. And you can look at my Twitter mentions, though I'd stay out of there for now. But there have been a lot of people who have recalled that when they drafted him, I said, I hope they move him to outside corner because that's where he belongs to play. 1 week, and it's certainly not enough of a sample size, but 1 week he looked better at outside corner than he had at safety in a long time. Mm-hmm. And Dan Campbell got asked a couple of different questions about Will Harris, and he laid it out without saying that this is what's going to happen. He said that Will Harris is under contract next year, costs $1.23 million. That's not an expensive role. He's a good guy. The team likes him. The coaches like him. The teammates like him. That's one of the reasons why I so desperately want to like him. He laid out the role that he can be. He's like, well, he's played slot corner for us. He's played both safety roles for us. He's played outside corner for us. Like, okay, there's your role. Like, you're not asking him to start at safety anymore. He's going to be your number 3 safety, your number 4 outside corner, your number 2 slot cornerback. He can play special teams. He's all those in one economically viable package. I love it. If that's what happens with Will Harris next year, and right now I'm going to go on the presumption that is what he's going to be, I welcome him back. I don't have a problem with that at all. If you have to pay 2 other guys to do that job, guess what? You're going to pay more than $1.23 million to get that done. And you might have a guy that doesn't fit the corporate culture, for lack of a better word. Mm-hmm. So for me, Will Harris has played 2 really solid games for himself in the last 3 weeks. And I have buried that guy, and I don't feel necessarily all that bad about it because his play deserved it.
You've been nice to him, though. I mean, because he is so likable, and you've been very clear about him as a person versus him as a player.
Yeah, and when a guy like that, when a guy who's been, a whipping boy, for lack of a better word, because I've beaten on the dude, and I feel bad about it because now you see why. Again, we talked about earlier, you see what the coaches saw, you see what the old regime saw in him when they drafted him. Like, you're seeing this regime find a fit for him, and it might not be the role that he wanted, it might not be the role that was envisioned, but you're finding like use for a useful player that you want to do well. And when I slam the guy when he does bad, I gotta give him credit when he does good. He played really, really well. Justin Rogers did a nice tape breakdown. I'll put a couple of clips of it up on Twitter, where he was partially responsible for that Oruwariye interception because that Kyler wanted to go on Will Harris's guy, and Will had him locked down. He's like, oh, I got to go to my second look. That's where the hesitation came in. That's where Oruwariye recovered enough to make the play. Though that's the sort of hockey assist play that Will Harris has not been capable of doing at safety. He did it at outside corner, and I am so happy to say nice things about Will Harris. He played a very good game, and I think we've seen the vision from Dan Campbell of where he's going to fit in this team in 2022.
I don't disagree. I do want to pump the brakes only because it's a single game. No one had film on him there. No, we'll see if people kind of figure a little bit of the Will Harris piece out. But as a depth piece, as a multiple depth piece, I like this idea because look, the fact is he could play safety. He could play, linebacker safety. He could play the cornerback, and another team has to prepare for him at 3 positions. Right. I mean, so it makes it a little more difficult, even though he can be figured out. It just gives him a lot more value as a depth player. Absolutely. And at the low cost that he is, I'm behind you 100%. I just wanted, as folks, we start thinking about, cornerback. Let's see what time brings. Right. Like all of this stuff. One game doesn't tell you what this team is. It takes time and you need data. And we'll get it. We'll get it by the end of the year.
That's the joy of playing the young kids. We're going to get Ifeatu Melifonwu back this week.
Yeah.
That he will be starting where Will Harris started last week. At least I hope so. At least that seems to be the plan. We'll find out more when practice happens on Wednesday. But yeah, it's nice. It's nice when a guy that you've bagged on for so long does something good when he's a good person and you like him.
Yeah.
That made me happy.
Yeah, 100%. All right, really quick, we want to talk about the draft picks, but I have to tell you about DetroitLionsPodcast.com/store. Riz, I wanted to show off this shirt. I got the new jersey shirt that's on there. It's the first shirt when you go to men's shirt. It's a unisex, though. It is the softest, most wonderful material. It feels like a jersey. It's like that really, really light, nice material. We're going to change most of our shirts over to this. This is, I get samples ahead of time. These are really, really great shirts. Also, if you go to the miscellaneous section, Riz, yours is on the way. I think it'll arrive before Christmas. I'm not sure. We've got these killer new suitcases. We got new can koozies. We got all kinds of great stuff there. Check it out. DetroitLionsPodcast.com/store. And if what you need isn't there, go to Amazon. No, don't go to Amazon. Go to go to Amazon.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. Amazon.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. And you get the same price you always do, but they'll take a little bit of money out of Bezos' pocket and hand it over to your favorite podcast to help us fix this broken camera that you can see is just torturing us. All right, let's see. Falling out of the number 1 pick, right? There's this is from Texas Pride 9395 in the subreddit. If we don't get the number 1 pick, we won't get a good player. Meanwhile, at number 7, and there's a beautiful picture of Penei Sewell there, I think folks have talked themselves into this number 1 Thibodeau-Hutchinson concept more than they've thought more broadly about the success of the team. Would those players be great? Yeah, well, let's take them both, right? Why not have both of them? We can dream, right? What was it? I saw somebody else say it, and I can't give attribution to this in the subreddit. Sorry, folks. The number 1 overall pick is a consolation prize for sucking, right? If you have a team that's building like the Lions are, and you can start to notch wins at the end of the season, you can start to see things working, you can start to see the culture coming together and working. It's much more important than a draft position 2 spots up the board. I mean, yeah, there's a difference. Riz, there's not a gigantic drop-off between 1 or 2 and 3 and 4 in this draft. I mean, there's different types of players you take, but you're still going to get yourself a nice player, a really, really good player who's going to start on day 1.
Let's go back to the 2007 NFL draft, shall we?
Let me get my Wayback Machine going. I don't know if I have a Wayback. This is the closest I've got to a Wayback noise. Okay.
The number 1 pick in the 2007 NFL draft was Jamarcus Russell. The number 2 pick was Calvin Johnson. The number 3 pick was Joe Thomas. Calvin's in the Hall of Fame. Joe Thomas will be in the Hall of Fame soon. We'll just scroll down a little bit more.
And Jamarcus Russell's car broke down in front of the Hall of Fame.
Adrian Peterson, the number 7 pick. Marshawn Lynch, the number 12 pick. Patrick Willis, the number 11 pick. That guy, if his career was still going, would be a Hall of Famer. There's a lot of really good players. You have to get the pick right more than the pick slot. You don't think that that Calvin Johnson wouldn't have played well in Oakland? Heck yeah. They wanted him at the end of his career. You have to get it right. And building and wins, showing that you're a good team, showing that you have players that a high draft pick, not necessarily the number one pick, but a higher draft pick, can blend in with, meld with, and build with. That's a lot more important than having that number one pick.
And what does that mean? Like when you have that kind of pick, who maybe you wind up picking fourth because you did better at the end of the season, does that help your free agency plays? I mean, does that make you look a little bit more attractive to? I mean,
it does.
Can you get more talent?
Like, okay, I'm not going to the worst team in the league. Like, why would I? Like, they're the worst team in the league. Like, I think everybody's pretty well settled on that with Jacksonville now, and their record finally proves it.
Thank you.
But, okay, the Jaguars, they got number one pick last year in Trevor Lawrence. There wasn't a soul questioning that Trevor Lawrence should be the number one overall pick. And you know what? They're almost worse with him. Now, is it his fault? No, it's not. The team around him was so bad that he joined in as a number one pick, and while he's not played well, he's not the problem. He hasn't been able to elevate them. You go back a couple years to Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow went to a Bengals team that was a little bit more ready for a number one pick to join it. But the Lions are in that position. They're more like Cincinnati when they got Burrow.
It's that nurture thing, Riz. It's that nature versus nurture thing, and landing in a good spot. When we were talking about Anthony Lynn earlier. It doesn't mean he's a bad person, a bad coach, or any of those things. It just wasn't the right spot. The nurture portion of where he landed isn't right. It's okay to separate. Trevor Lawrence with Urban, and I don't think Urban Meyer was right for anybody really in the NFL, but landed in a really tough slot. This is a little scary, I think, for Trevor Lawrence, right? Because now he's got to have a new coach, and you don't know with the new coach, the new staff, what the fit's going to be like there. You could take a guy who is a consensus number one overall pick that nobody would have traded away for. There was no amount of treasure worth trading away for Trevor Lawrence, and destroy his career. Sam Darnold is a guy I think that had something similar happen, not that caliber of Trevor Lawrence, but he landed in a bad spot. Yeah, landed in a bad spot and just got destroyed. His career got ruined because of where he got drafted. You start looking at what the spot is like. Again, free agents look at what the spot's like. They're not going to go play for Urban Meyer. They're not going to sign there if he was still coach. They're looking for a team.
I feel so bad for Marvin Jones.
Yeah. Oh God. They're looking for a team that's on the rise. Right, a guy like Marvin Jones is looking for a paycheck for the last couple of years to get, so he doesn't have to spend as many hours in the kitchen at nothing but cakes. But otherwise, right, it's those kind of guys are just looking for a spot and a check. But the guys that you want on your team, the guys that you really, really want to sign that can help in the long term, maybe get a second contract out of them, can really push you over the top. Those are the guys that are not going to pick a place like Jacksonville. They're going to look for that nurture of a place, that place that has a fit with good coaching, good compadres to work with, good staff, good across the board. This couple wins at the end of the season may lower us a little bit on the draft as far as where we pick, but the guys we signed because of it and the long-term effect is going to be far, far more beneficial to this team than picking one or two slots earlier.
Absolutely. And if you want that basic spiel and a much more condescending tone, read what Kyle Mikey wrote on MLive yesterday, because it is glorious.
I'll have to check that out. I love his
Kyle nailed it. He nailed it.
All right, let's look ahead to the Falcons. This is an interesting game, and I want to first and foremost say thank you to everybody who offered me. I've had offers of places to stay, tickets, the whole thing, and you guys, I love you. I love you all for the show, everything you do for us, and listening and being part of it. But I'm not going to be able to swing it. I'm not going to be able to swing the trip. I have a dishwasher.
Day after Christmas is a tough time, man, when you got children.
Yeah. And I've got a dishwasher that took a dive. I've got work I got to do around that. It's just not lined up right. So as much as I want to, thank you, everybody, I can't be there, which doesn't necessarily bode poorly. I mean, I'm 50-50. Oh, no, I'm 100% for wins games I was at this year. No, I'm not. I'm 50-50.
No, you're not. You went to Los Angeles.
For home games.
Fire!
Away games, I'm not so good. Anyway, in Atlanta, we're playing the Falcons. The Falcons are a little bit of a wild card, too. They sometimes look like they're a good team. They sometimes look like they're not so good. Matt Ryan's the kind of guy, a little bit like Matthew Stafford, can elevate a bad team to win games that they don't need. Running towards the end of his career, though. What do we see in Atlanta, Riz?
They have the worst pass rush in football. So if Goff comes back, one of the things that we've seen from Goff is that if you give him time, he will actually look down the field now. Thank God. They don't tackle well. They have a lot of speed at linebacker, but they don't tackle well. They don't finish plays very well. Deion Jones is a guy that went from being, sort of the way that Devin Bush in Pittsburgh has been, like, was really good as a rookie, and since then he's been one of the worst players on the bad defense pretty consistently. They are vulnerable. I'm not going to say that the Lions can go in and win this game. They're 3.5 point underdogs. That's probably fair. Atlanta's 6-8. They're coming off of a bad loss, but they have some interesting wins. They have one really, really good cornerback. A.J. Terrell has been a home run draft pick for them. The rest of their secondary is, I don't know, man. And they don't help them with the pass rush at all. Their offensive line is...
Sounds like the Patricia methodology.
They really are, man. They actually are built in the image of a Matt Patricia team, which is kind of strange. Mm-hmm. They have some talent, they have some ability, but they don't always play to it. They have a rookie coach going as well in Arthur Smith. I think by and large, Falcon fans are underwhelmed but okay with him, is the general vibe that I get. But this is a game that the Lions can win if they play the way they did against Arizona. Oh, God, but if they come out the way they did against Minnesota or Philadelphia or Cincinnati, Atlanta can put a beat down on them. And it's kind of weird because you got two teams that are variable, growing, figuring out who's part of 2022 and beyond and who's not. And to Atlanta's credit, they are playing those guys more than they're playing the veteran stopgaps. Not that they're not doing that, but it's a tough game to predict how it's going to play out. And look, we just saw the Any Given Sunday with the Lions being the team that rose up, and they were overdue for a game where the ball just fell their way, quite frankly. You do make your own luck. I am a believer in that in the NFL, but God, it was nice to get a lot of those lucky breaks in the same game. They're going to need some of those in Atlanta, but a confident Lions team that runs the ball the way they have and get some opportunistic plays on defense the way they have, they can win this game. I'm not going to say that they will. I'm not going to be overconfident about it, but I haven't made picks yet, and quite frankly, I don't know who's going to win this one. Like, the Lions can, the Falcons can. It's one of those where if they played 99 times, it's going to be like 51-48, 52-47, something like that. So anybody who's telling you, oh, they have no chance, or oh, they're going to roll, no, that ain't the way it works this week.
Yeah, my heart and head. This is another one where they're fighting each other. My head says, I want you to win. I want you to build the culture. I want you to do all those things. My heart says, please lose. Just get us a good draft pick, right? Just don't get us even further down. And I'm wrestling with myself. I get where folks are on the draft pick thing. We just talked about it, and my brain knows what we need to do. My heart says something else, and I know this is one of those ones where you just have to listen to your brain. They go out and they beat Atlanta. Look, that's okay. That's fine. They're still going to do the Senior Bowl. That's all I care about. But they beat Atlanta. They're going to be it's going to be an even better shot for them. It's going to look even better. And then after Atlanta, I mean, it becomes a little bit more difficult as the year goes on, right? I mean, who
knows what's going on? Nobody knows what's going on with Seattle. I mean, they've won 2 in a row since I crapped on them and told everybody that they were the easiest win on the schedule for Detroit.
Yeah.
What do I know? I'm an idiot.
Yeah, well. Thank you. Seattle and the Packers coming up, so we'll see. This God, head and heart are at a fight. I'm going to watch the game. I'm going to enjoy the game, and we'll have a post-game show for you, even though it's the 26th. I do have to say,
Heart versus Mind, a very good I Prevail album, by the way.
Oh, anything from I Prevail is good, though. I also will say that we are doing our game preview on Thursday of this week because of the holiday, so it won't be Friday. Tony Ortiz and I will be live doing the game preview. Don't miss that. We'll tell you what to think about.
Hi, Tony.
Falcons game.
I miss that guy. I love that guy.
Oh, he's awesome. He's awesome. I got to tell you, Riz, I got a booze delivery on the way. I got to get down to it's just a few minutes out. I've got to get down to the door to be able to accept this booze ahead of my dishwasher delivery because I'm gonna need both in order to get this thing installed right.
It's not that bad.
Help your friends at this podcast. Go to fanatics.detroitlionspodcast.com and get all your great materials. With that, Riz, I think it was a great show. You did wonderful today.
We had fun. Thanks for enjoying us on an early afternoon. It worked out very well for us scheduling wise. For those of you who are watching this later, we might be doing this again next week too. Just a warning.
yeah. I think that is how it will fly. Riz, I want to wish you a very, very Merry Christmas. Thank you for everything and getting set up this year.
We got Christmas going on. Yeah. Merry Christmas to everybody. Enjoy it. Enjoy your family. Enjoy your friends. Enjoy your loved ones. Enjoy your pets. Do right by people. Do good things and get through. Look, we've had a rough year. Let's celebrate and enjoy and love that we are loved.
And let's face it, we've got a Christmas that we get to celebrate after we beat one of the top teams in the NFL. Ride that. Be happy. Enjoy it. All right. Remember, don't forget about us on Patreon. Patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. Patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. You can donate every month, put a little something in our stocking, and you'll get access to the Slack, which is by far 100% the most intelligent Lions chat on the internet, period, and 100%. You're going to love it. There's different channels for everything, but the Lions chat is absolutely great. Also, follow us on Twitter at DET Lions Podcast. That's DET Lions Podcast, and at Jeff Risdon. There you go. Give us a call via Skype, Detroit Lions Podcast, all one word, or call us on the Lions line at 929-33-LIONS. It's 929-335-4667. Be sure to go to DetroitLionsPodcast.com and subscribe to the podcast. That way, we can
come into your ear holes automatically.
Merry Christmas. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to see you next time on the Detroit Lions Podcast. Remember, no pants, no toasters, no hot tubs, no problems, but all kinds of reindeer, because we are your Detroit Lions and Reddit connection. Merry Christmas, everybody. Thank you.